Welcome back to Out of My Head on YouTube, where today KMO told me to talk about the Space Force.
It's true.
Why?
Well, 2018 fall, I was in Los Angeles for Politicon, and I talked to a doctor, I think his name is Brian Whedon, who is an expert in all things space and military.
The Final Frontier, yes.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the. We will not get sidetracked. Last night, Donald Trump announced in the State of the Union address that the proposed new branch of the military, the Space Force, will be a reality, or is a reality. You were watching the State of the Union today? Did you get that far?
I got that far, wasn't paying attention.
Okay.
But, I mean, he's commander-in-chief. He wants to make a new branch of the military. I don't think you need congressional approval for that.
Well, here's the thing. I've been noticing, not just today, but today it's really resurged. A lot of people have opinions about the Space Force that are based on two things. One, the name and the images that it conjures up, and two, the fact that they associate it with Donald Trump. And so they have a very reflexive and ill-informed opinion about what's involved in the creation of a Space Force, what the need is, and how the creation of a new branch of government or a new branch of the military addresses that need.
Yeah, because when most people hear Space Force, they're thinking
Stormtroopers,
spaceships and Star
Yeah.
Trek level stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, from my understanding, I'm not an expert, it's like satellites.
And what do satellites help us to do?
Mostly monitoring, but also some tracking and GPS stuff. You can also use it for communications.
All the location-based services on your phone,
Use satellite, yeah.
yeah, they use the GPS network, which is a military network.
GPS is military, yep, that they let us use.
Mm-hmm. But right now, all of the U.S. space-based assets are distributed over a variety of governing bodies. There's a lot of overlap, a lot of conflict, a lot of ambiguity as to who has authority over what.
Didn't know that, but yeah.
So organizations like, well, of course, the Air Force.
Air Force.
But as Dr. Wheaton says, the Air Force, given their name, given their mission,
There's no air in space.
Yeah, well, they prioritize air power, and
Planes
their
and drones.
thinking is about air power and about moving through the air, and things are very different in space.
Extremely.
There's also the National Reconnaissance Office. They have authority, jurisdiction over a variety of space-based assets. But anytime there's a drone mission flown by any branch of the military, it involves the relaying of data from the drone via satellites to the place where the drone is being controlled. And so the idea is to streamline and consolidate control of these assets.
Which all makes perfect sense.
Yep. So what's the objection? Well, it's got the word space in it. Pew pew, and
I still think that's cool.
Yep,
No
and
objections there.
Donald Trump.
I'm liking Space Force.
Well, you probably like Space Force for the exact same reasons that the people I'm talking about don't like it.
Yes. But also because there is an actual use and need for it. Because, satellites are the main thing. There's also military weapons you can have orbiting. Are you familiar with the concept of Thor's hammer?
Mm-hmm.
It's dropping a tungsten rod the size of a telephone pole from orbit, and you can hit precisely where you want, because, it's pretty simple math once you know what you're doing, relatively speaking.
Speaking of relatively.
I haven't finished yet.
Oh, okay.
And it hits whatever you're hitting, they say, with the force of an atomic bomb minus the radiation. Just using gravity.
Google relativistic kill missile.
Never heard of this.
Google it.
I'm in the middle of something right now.
Later.
Okay.
All right, keep going. I was going to have you do all the talking, and here I am blah, blah, blahing.
You think I did a bunch of research on Space Force?
No, that's just why I wanted to get your opinion on it.
Well, let's see. We can also have a moon laser. Should we have a moon laser?
To do what?
To shoot things from the moon? Actually, would Space Force be in charge of stopping an asteroid threat?
Well, right now, nobody is in charge of stopping an asteroid threat because we don't really have the assets to do it. I would think that if we were going to start from scratch, it would be in NASA's wheelhouse.
NASA seems harder to get funding for than military.
Well, if there's an existential threat to the human species from a big rock that's coming at us, I think NASA is going to enjoy an expanded role pretty quickly.
Yes, but well, let's just also have the military funding there too. Why not? You know. Well, I mean, yeah. So what if we want to set up a military-style base on the moon? Not like full-on people standing there in spacesuits with their plasma rifles, but just a base with maybe a missile launching station. Because you launch a nuclear missile at a asteroid that's coming too close to Earth or on trajectory to Earth, you could shatter it, hopefully send it off the path, and any parts that still hit burn up in the atmosphere. Ideally, this isn't a likely threat, but it is a possibility. So that's another potential use for the Space Force. And then also,
It's
if
pretty
you
far down the road, I think.
it depends how much we want it. I think we could have it in 5 years if we really, really wanted it. We have the capabilities. It's just a matter of funding and putting the time into it. And is it the most important thing? No, but it sounds cool. If we're not doing cool things, what are we doing with our lives, KMO? Like, we're too busy doing our little fighty politics. Oh, little Ant-Man over here and little Ant-Man over here are mad at each other. Pew, 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 pew. No, giant space cannon. Think big. What about the alien threats, dude?
What about the alien threats?
There was some documents released on UFOs and whatnot. I don't remember any of them because they kind of glossed over. But we don't have an alien threat.
We should not conflate this topic of Space Force with aliens.
Well, I mean, if there was an alien threat coming from space, which branch of the military would be protecting the U.S.? No. Ideally, you'd have a worldwide. But again, let's be honest.
If the aliens want to do us harm, and they had the means to get here from another star system, there is nothing we could do to prevent that harm.
You say that, but you gotta...
I say that. Again,
you gotta remember...
relativistic kill missile.
Defense is easier than offense. It's easier for me to protect my home...
Not in this case.
...than for people with equal power to attack my home. And it depends what they want. If they want to just destroy the planet, that's relatively easy.
Yeah.
We can do that ourselves.
Or just destroy our civilization.
That's easy.
Yeah.
But if they wanted that, they would have just done it already.
Exactly.
But if they want something else, then we have they want to be able to harvest the whatever, or they want to enslave humankind. Well, now we have a little bit of play, man.
I'm not really worried about aliens, particularly for the topic of this discussion. But I do like, if you're not going to do something cool, you're wasting your life. I agree with that. On the individual level and on the societal level, we should do cool stuff.
We should do cool stuff. Why did we just... We're too busy talking about Nancy Pelosi ripping up a piece of paper. And that's the most interesting thing that happened to me today. Space laser. I'm not actually advocating a space laser. That's way too much money to be only a little bit cool.
Lasers are good for a lot of stuff.
Lasers are good for a lot of things.
Yep.
Like, the DVDs that I use every single day at work. They're burned into the laser.
Range finding.
Hard drives run on lasers.
Mm-hmm. Getting your pictures level when you hang them up on the walls.
Okay, you're thinking small, man. Think about computing. Right now we're using electrons to compute. What if we use photons instead?
Optical computing, yes.
It's a lot faster. And now what if we have instead of fiber lines, which they're really fast by today's standards, what happens when we move from... fiber might use light.
Fiber does use light, but it's...
What if we get that more efficient so it actually goes at the speed of light? And we can send data from here to China in 0.02 seconds. That might be a bad estimate.
Another way to use lasers for communications is to have like a tight beam communication where there's two stations that are connected with just a beam of light.
Very small beam of light.
You are pulsing that beam of light so that you can encode a digital signal into it, and you're not broadcasting it. You are
it's not
tight
being shot at.
Right.
And if it gets interrupted at any point.
Exactly.
Lasers are cool. You know what we go after lasers though? Magnets.
Magnets?
Are you familiar with magnets?
I've heard of magnets, yes.
I asked if you were familiar with magnets.
I have practical experience with magnets.
See,
I'm not
that's
guessing what it is that you have in mind, though.
okay. So your practical experience with magnets. I'm going to let you in on a secret on magnets. I'm not an expert on magnets either. The more you know about magnets, the more you sit there and go like, I don't know, it's magic or something. That's what they say. The more people try to, that's what the people who know about magnets say. It's like, I don't know, some black magic something or other.
Are you quoting the Insane Clown Posse?
I don't know the Insane Clown
Okay.
Posse, so no. Scientists on the internet I watch actually say magnets. I don't know. You have magnets and electromagnets. You have coils, and there's an energy there.
A force.
There's a force, and a force is made of energy, is it not?
Out of my depth.
Well, I mean, okay. So magnet. I have two magnets. I put the south pole end here, and then I have another magnet here with the south pole end facing here. I move the magnet. The south pole end of this magnet repels the south pole. It moves that magnet.
Yep.
It's doing work.
You can make stuff float.
It makes stuff float, which needs energy. You're doing the work of keeping it against gravity.
Again, we have veered outside the area of my knowledge.
Me too, but I'm just saying, there sounds like potential there. Someone who's smart should do magnet research and harness the black magic for infinite energy or something. It's not infinite energy because it's something to do with the Earth's magnetic poles and the...
Space Force.
Well, dude, that seems relevant to Space Force.
It does.
They should be using the poles and the magnets. What if instead of using a bunch of fuel to launch our satellites, we figure out how to use magnets to just go boop?
What does Earth have that Mars does not have?
A habitable atmosphere.
And?
Water.
And?
People. There's a lot of things, Camo.
All of those are related to one very important thing that the Earth has that Mars does not.
I don't know. You can...
A dynamic metal core which creates a magnetic field.
Huh. I didn't know Mars didn't have that.
That's why they don't have an atmosphere. That's why they don't have any water on the surface. I say they. As far as I know, there is no
Mars
they.
does have an atmosphere, to the best of my knowledge.
Yes, they have a very thin, mostly carbon dioxide atmosphere, but...
He's just tapping because he's bored. Don't worry
Anyway,
about it.
we've gone far afield. Space Force. This video is about Space Force. Are we done?
I was having fun talking theoretical physics, but sure, we can be done. So go ahead, fans of KMO, who haven't seen me in a while because it's a new year. So he's not doing daily videos, thus he doesn't need me every week. Fine with me. I don't care either way. Let me know if you want me to talk about theoretical space physics in a different video or something. Anyways,
Magic.
bye. Coffee.